In this first part of the video, I'm going to show you the basics of how to use Snapseed. So at this point, you should have already downloaded the app, and you've also taken some central composition photos as well. So first thing I want you to do is open the app, and here on this blank screen, you need to select a picture that you want to edit. So tap on a screen. So on the bottom row here, it should show recent pictures of yourself. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of myself right now, but just to give you an example what that might look like. Now, if for whatever reason your pictures are not showing on the bottom row, then I would like you to select open from device option, and that basically shows all your recent photos. So then you go to all photos, and that will show your photos there. So from those pictures that you just took, I want you to pick the best central composition that you want to edit on Snapseed. So for instance, I want to choose this one, the filter frame photo, to edit from. So I'm going to pause this video for you guys to select your picture and have that ready on your screen. Okay, so now that you got your photo in front of you, the next thing I want you to do is have a look at the bottom row. You've got looks, tools, and export. Now with looks, you can probably see it's got all of these filters that's already been applied, and you just click onto that and it will apply those filters there. Personally, I would prefer you to not use the filters and try to use a tools section to apply those kind of look, which you can do from scratch. So cross that out, but do have a go if you like to give it a try. The next part, which is tools, if you click on that, you will see a number of options of how you can edit your photo. And this is what I mean. Instead of using the filters from the look section, you can actually do this from scratch from using the tools here. Now, the first thing I want you guys to give a go is tune image, which is right at the top here. And I want you guys to click on tune image. Now on tune image, it's all about editing adjusting the overall exposure. So you can make the photo brighter or add more contrast, or to make the photo warmer or on a cooler tone. You can add more shadow and all of those things. So if you just use your thumb, so you're going to be using your thumbs and your fingers to swipe across and so forth. If you swipe in the downward motion, you can see a number of options that you can use in a tune image section. And then I'm just going to scroll up just to show you how you can select the type of adjustment tool that you want to do. So for instance, if I want to select warmth, I just need to let go of my finger from there. And if you look at the top bar, it says warmth and it's got a 0 next to it. So this essentially tells you what level of warmth it is currently on. So because it's the original photo, it will be on a 0. Now, if I use my finger to swipe to the left or to the right, you can start to see that the warmth takes an effect where it becomes cooler. If I go to the opposite side, it will start to make the picture on a warmer side. So the warm tone starts to come through. So what I want you guys to do in this video is experiment with all of these little options. So things like brightness, contrast, shadows, all of these, and just have a play around how the photo can add an effect when you adjust the overall exposure. Once you're happy with it and you want to see what it looks like before and after, just hold your thumb down and it shows you before, and you let your thumb go and it shows you after. If you're happy with that, click on the tick button at the bottom. If you're not, click on the cross button and start again by selecting tune image. The next part is details. Now with details, that essentially just allows you to add more detail in your photo. It makes your photo more sharper. It might bring out more noise in your photo. So sometimes it's really good to use a bit of details. And whenever you finish editing, I would use detail as the last thing before I save my work, because you want to do that last so that you don't end up affecting any other areas. So that's one little tip I would say, make sure you always use it last. So now I've selected detail, and again using your thumb to swipe across. So as you can see, if I go all the way down, it will smoothen out her skin, but that doesn't look realistic here. So I would never use, whenever I'm adjusting, I would never go straight to 100. I always keep it under 10 or 5, just to, because all I'm doing is just trying to enhance the photo a little bit. So here again, you don't want to go all the way to 100. Now again, if you want to see the before and after, you just hold down the screen and it shows you before and after. So you only want to go a little bit, so not too much. Then use your thumb to scroll down and it takes you to a sharpening section. Again, with the sharpening, it's best used on the iris area and so forth, because that will make her eyes stand out. So I'm just going to make her eyes pop a little bit, but at the moment it's affecting the whole image. But I'm going to show you in the next step how I can just make sure it's only focused on the eye area. So I'm just going to keep it up to, let's see, 30 for now, and see where we can go from there. And that's it for the detail section. So have a go and see what you get. The next part I want to show you is view edits option. So if you guys remember on Photoshop, whenever you're editing and you're adding new image to your canvas, and you're adjusting the exposure level and you're adjusting the saturation, and then you can see all of those layers start to pop up in your layers box section. So in Snapseed, it does the same thing. You can actually view your layers and you can edit as you go along. Now on the top row, you can see an arrow facing back with some sheets of paper underneath it. That's your view edits option. So I want you guys to click on view edits at the top bar. And here you can see these options where you can undo something, redo, or revert to original and start again. So that's how you can do those kind of edits there. The next bit is view edits, and that's the one where you're going to view your layers. So I want everyone to click on that. Okay, so you can see the layers that you've been working with. So for instance, we started off with opening our original photo, then we started playing with the tune image, and then we started adding details to the photograph. And if you, for instance, at the moment, the details box is highlighted in blue. If you select that again, you can see a bar of 3 options appear. So the one with the bin, that means to delete that layer. The one with the brush tool, that means you can selectively brush in that layer that you want to hide or reveal things. So that basically acts as a layer mask, which I'm going to explain a little bit more in a bit. And then the last option, which is like the options tool. So basically it takes you back to the details tool where you last left off in editing, and you can just enhance or adjust as accordingly to what you want. So let's just go back into this. So let's say details. I want to add more structure to her face by adding more noise, because remember how I was saying earlier on that when you look at a photograph, the first thing you're going to notice of a subject is their eyes. So let's click on the options tools. So that's the one with lots of lines on it. Okay, so you remember I left off with 10 on structure. Yeah, so I'm going to take this all the way to 100. And you can see her face, the details of her skin is starting to show through, yeah? And if you look at the difference from her eyes, it's more brighter, the color of the amber color starts to show through a lot more. So I'm going to try and leave it on 100 for now. It looks crazy right now, but just trust me, the difference is going to make. And you can even enhance the sharpening tool to 35, for instance. Everyone's photo in your class might be different to this photo, so just try to work what you think is quite like this photo here. Then once that's done, you click on the tick button. Now it's not showing at the moment because I'm going to use the layer mask tool to do that. So I'm going to pause the video for you guys to just go back to your options and adjust accordingly. Okay, so now that we've changed the detail in the options section, the next part is trying to bring her eyes out a lot, like more brighter and stand out from the photo. So if we just go into the layer mask tool, so it's the one with the brush in it. And remember what layer mask does, it temporarily hides or reveal things, and you use your brush tool to show areas that you want to show or to hide areas you want to hide. So on the bottom row here, you can see a range of options, and you've got the cross and you've got the invert one, which I'll show you another time how to use that, and then you've got the arrow facing down and up. Okay, if you go up to 100, that basically means your brush is going to be 100% opaque. If you go down to 50, it'll be half opaque, so it will be kind of see through the brush itself. And then if you go to 0, that basically removes that area that you've brushed with. Okay, now then you've got the eye icon, and you can tap it to be blue, so that it shows your brush in a red color. The reason why you want your brush to be red, so that way you can see obviously where you are drawing, and that you don't end up drawing in another area that you might have missed off. So it's really important you keep the eye icon on. You can switch it off at the end to see the result, which I'm going to show you how that kind of works. So first thing says, you need to make sure you're zoomed in to her eye area, because if I paint from this scale, you can see just from using my finger to swipe across, the brush itself is very thick. Now, whenever you make a mistake, you just use your arrow to 0, and that will basically delete that. Remember when I said the eye icon, how important it is, because it makes your brush red temporarily, so you can obviously see where you've just brushed in. So good. All right, let's turn this brush back to 100. To zoom in is like how you would zoom in a picture when you're using your phone. So using your 2 fingers, going opposite direction, and then just zooming in, and you can see the size of your brush starts to become smaller and smaller, and that makes it easier for you to just focus on the area that you want to paint on. So the brush size is 100, I mean the opaque opacity size is 100, so that's perfect for me to start painting. So now I'm painting it with red. And what this basically does is that, remember when we changed the structure to a really high number, so I'm now painting that layer in, so that her eyes shows that how it would look like how we last edited on the detail section. So we're now painting that layer in basically. And to zoom out, you can just double click on the area that you've just painted, and to zoom in to the other eye, you just use the same thing. Now you can see the red paint that I just painted on. If you just click on the eye icon, you can see the difference on one eye to the other eye. Do you guys see it? So that's the difference is made. I made her eyes a lot sharper than what it was before. And you can see her eye stands out from the photo now. So that's one way of enhancing your subject's eye. Okay, so just to repeat that, you need to make sure your eye icon is on, and you make sure that your brush opacity size is 100, and you need to zoom in to paint in the iris area. So once you're happy with that, then you just need to click tick, and then that will take effect to your photo like so. And then all you need to do is come out, and the last thing you need to do is knowing how to save your work. So to save your work, click on export, which is at the bottom corner, and all you need to do is save a copy, and another photo of this will be saved into your photo gallery section, and you can view that in your photos album. And that's it for the first part.